Welcome to the Wyoming Women's Business Center's 2021 webinar series. Today's presentation is Self-Care and Rediscovering the Gifts of Small Business Ownership. I'm Christine Langley with the Wyoming Women's Business Center, and I'm going to be your speaker today. So you'll notice the Zoom webinar bar, likely at the top or bottom of your screen, depending on your setup. And I want to call attention to that questions panel. If you have any questions during the webinar today, I'd like you to use that panel to communicate with me. And then immediately following this presentation, we're going to launch a survey. And so we ask that you stay on the line for just a couple extra minutes to complete the survey because it provides us and our funding partners with valuable information. And we do read every comment. So everybody on our webinar today is muted to minimize background noise. So once again, if you have any questions during the presentation, just go ahead and type those into the panel for me. Now we're going to get started with some quick information about the Wyoming Women's Business Center for those of you that are new to our education series here. And then we'll dive into our topic today and finish up with a Q&A at the end. This is a 30-minute format, and we appreciate everybody joining us on what might be your lunch hour. This is being recorded, and so it's going to be available on our YouTube channel. You can just go to youtube.com and search for Wyoming Women's Business Center. I encourage you to subscribe to our channel and then check out any of our other business education content that we've provided over the last couple of years. All right, the WWBC, as we're known, or the Wyoming Women's Business Center, is a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to enable and empower Wyoming entrepreneurs. We have a special emphasis on women, of course, who are also economically or socially disadvantaged. And so we do our work through 4 distinct programs right now. The first is our business counseling and our training program, which is always free, and these webinars are part of that. The second is our microfinance programs, which offer microloans as well as individual development accounts, which are like matched savings accounts. The third is our Artist Development Center, and we run that in conjunction with our Works of Wyoming store that's located in downtown Laramie. And then lastly, we launched a COVID-19 support program last June, and we're actually wrapping up that program this month. And so we're really proud to have provided education and grant dollars to more than 440 small businesses across the state of Wyoming during this global pandemic, which we all hope is almost over. All right, so we're going to get started today talking about self-care in your business. And to kick this off, I want to start with a quick poll so that I just understand who I have on the line with us today. So I'm going to launch this first poll question, and I just want you to select the stage of development that best describes your business. So are you in the idea formation stage, the startup stage, the early growth, first growth, second growth, stability, or maybe not in business at all right now? And so just give me a sense of where you're at in your business. 1 to 2 years in business, 2 to 3 years in business. Totally okay if you're planning a business or not in business yet. We've got about half the people voted so far. I'm just going to give you guys a few more seconds here. Just helps me gauge what we're going to talk about today. All right, good job, everybody. I'll go ahead and end this poll. And just so you all can also see, it looks like we have a really good mix of people. Some people that have been in business for over 5 years. Congratulations. That's a huge accomplishment. And I'm glad you're on the call today to learn a little bit about self-care, because those of us that have been entrepreneurs for a while definitely struggle in this area. All right, guys, thanks so much. Okay, so as small business owners, there's a lot riding on your shoulders. And sometimes it's hard to justify downtime with so much responsibility on your plate. But we know that self care is really necessary. And if you're going to avoid burnout and keep your business running, then we need to focus on self care. And I always tell people, vacations and long weekends are an excellent way to recharge. But really, it's your everyday habits that have the biggest impact on your well being. And so that's why I'm going to give you just 5 tips today for self-care in your business. And so the first one, as you can see on your screen, is all about setting boundaries, because truly your space is not for everyone. And you absolutely cannot do it all. That is a myth, and it is okay to say no. So boundaries really are not to keep other people out. They're actually to keep you at peace. And so you can only support your loved ones and your friends when you have the energy to do so. And that's why it's really important that you know your limits and that you consider your time and your energy as sacred, because they are. And as our good friend Brene Brown tells us, daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves. So after this speech is usually the time a client will tell me something like they've tried to set boundaries, but other people don't respect the boundary. And that, of course, is something that we've all struggled with as owners or even managers, as mothers or sisters or daughters. So here's the trick. When someone doesn't respect your boundary, you have to remind them that they're pushing up against a boundary that you've established, rather than ignoring it and allowing it, which is often our go-to, right? We have a self-talk in our head that says, this was one of my boundaries and this person is not respecting it right now, but that never comes out of our mouth. It just stays in our head. And so I want to remind you that you get treated how you allow other people to treat you. And so this is a time when you need to get strong and really reinforce that boundary. And so it might sound something like this. Hey, listen, I understand that you've got a really important question or a need right now. And I promise that I'm going to get to that after my quiet time or after my walk today. And it's really important that you respect the boundary that I set around my schedule. Thank you so much. And then move on, right? So that's a little trick. All right, next up is hydration, sun, and sleep. So I really hate lecturing people on diet and exercise, so I didn't put it on the slide, but you all know that that's part of self-care. I'm just going to encourage you to just do a check-in with yourself and determine if something needs to be improved in that area and try to take action to do that. So for now, I just want to remind you to hydrate. And for me personally, that means drinking lots of water, especially at high altitudes. So one of the best things that you can do for yourself every single morning after waking up is to drink 20 ounces of water before you do anything else. And you'll really be surprised what a difference hydration can make on your mood and the start to your day. So now that the weather is finally starting to turn for some of us or most of us, or we can see the light at the end of this tunnel, it's going to be easier to get some natural vitamin D. But living in mostly a winter climate, I also want to encourage you to make sure you're getting your vitamin D levels tested and talk with your healthcare professional about the appropriate levels and how you can meet them if you are a little low. It may require taking some supplements, but it's worth it and has a big impact. And then lastly, I want to encourage you to prioritize sleep. Staying up late working may help you get things done today, but it really just tanks your productivity tomorrow. So for consistent energy throughout the work week, good sleep is really essential. So make sure you're stepping away from work for 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. And so for those of you that are rolling your eyes at the screen right now and saying something to yourself like 7 to 9 hours of sleep, yeah, right, Christine? I just want to encourage you to recognize that nothing beats good sleep for boosting your immune system. And it really is the ultimate form of self-care. It's the number one thing that you can do to take care of yourself is prioritizing your sleep. And also sleeping is a skill. Okay, you can actually improve and build your capacity for sleep if you'll focus on it and make it a priority. So I want to encourage you to stop using your electronics about 30 minutes before you go to bed and try to avoid disrupting your sleep with any kind of blue light. They even have glasses that block blue light now. You can order them on Amazon. So just keep in mind that it's not just the quantity of sleep that you get, but it's also the quality of sleep. So if you're waking up feeling groggy or achy, it's not just that you're getting old, right? It's a sign that you're not getting quality sleep. So there's lots of wearable devices now, wearable technology that can help you track your sleep. I personally use an Aura ring, OURA, Aura ring, if you want to Google that and kind of check in to that as a wearable technology. But lots of advances to help you understand the level of sleep you're getting, how long, and the quality of sleep. So whatever you need to do to create the best sleep routine and the best sleep environment, I really encourage you to do it because it makes a huge difference. Okay, tip number 3, next up is environment. Now, setting up your environment right is definitely part of self-care. The setting in which you work can have an enormously positive or negative impact on your working wellness. And so a distraction-free home office is really just the beginning. So ask yourself these questions, are you keeping your space free of productivity leeches like clutter or trash, right? Do you have any office plants? Maybe a fish tank, or great spaces for your pets that can kind of nestle nearby. How is the air in your space? Is it stale? Do you have enough humidity so that you're not shocking yourself and people around you all the time? Do you have enough humidity enough to kind of keep you well? So it's easy to ignore your working environment, especially if you've been in it for a long time. The clutter and the trash and some of the disorganization or kind of the lack of beauty or light just gets away from you because you get used to it. So check in with yourself, check in with your space, because taking care of your space can really benefit your well-being. All right, next up is time management. So do you ever have those days where you feel like you didn't get anything done, but you were really busy all day long? Those days are inevitable, and they're going to happen every once in a while. But if you're starting to feel like that's a regular occurrence for you, then it's worth taking a closer look at your time management habits. Because remember that the habits that we keep every single day actually give us the most keys to self-care. So are you planning your days and following a schedule, or are you putting out fires as they happen? Are you setting aside time for answering emails and taking phone calls and meetings, or is your inbox just a constant source of interruption throughout the day? So if you can block out your day's tasks into designated time slots and then prioritize tasks based on urgency, and focusing on one thing at a time instead of multitasking, which is kind of a farce, then you can better manage your time to get more done. And I always encourage my clients to listen and go with your natural rhythm. So if you know that you're very creative or you're an amazing writer in the morning, then schedule your marketing and your email communication time to be in the AM. If you know you start kind of running out of gas in the mid-afternoon, then don't schedule meetings during that time. Schedule some quiet time to recharge, or schedule that walk that you need to take in the afternoon around the block to get outside. All right, so let's take another quick poll and just see how you're doing on picking the time slot where you feel most productive. And it looks like I launched both polls at once before. How productive of me. All right, so let's share out those results again and take a look at question number 2. So it looks like most people, about 25% productive between 7 and 10, another 25% between 8 and 11. So morning seems to be the standard time. Looks like I've got a couple people that are really good in the afternoon, 2 to 5. That's great. So it's just important that you know yourself and know the best time for you to be super productive. All right, excellent. Thanks, everybody. All right, so last but not least, I always like to talk about client or customer education. Now, why would this be listed under self-care? Is what most people might be asking themselves right now. Well, I think that the greatest gift that you can give yourself is really a well-educated client. You want to teach them what it takes to do the work. Inform them of your turnaround times. Tell them why you choose to do things the way you do them. Give them so much information that it feels like you're going full TMI with your process. Because seriously, informed customers trust you and they spend more money with you. And most importantly, they leave you alone. So beyond over communicating, I think it's also important that you under promise. So if you think something's going to take you 2 weeks to complete, tell them it's going to be 3 weeks or a month. That way, when it takes 2 weeks and 1 day because some unexpected situation came up, you have a 1 to 2 week grace window. You never want to be in emergency mode, and your client's going to be thrilled that you got it to them earlier than expected. So remember, when you're feeling the pressure of small business ownership, it's tempting to power through and spend every free moment working. But the truth is, the work is just always going to be there. But if you don't take care of yourself, you might not be. So while it's never easy to slow down and take time for self-care, it really is the key to making things work as a small business owner. All right, and with that, I want to slide into the advantages of being a small business owner. And as a serial entrepreneur myself, I know that the lows in small business ownership can be really low. But I also know that the highs can be really, really high. There's nothing like it. So today, let's cover the top business and personal gifts that small business ownership offers. So we're going to start with the business benefits because they're plentiful. So I always say flexibility is a key competitive advantage in small business. We're able to make pivots and changes quickly to respond to the market needs. And best of all, we don't have layers upon layers of management approvals to get through to actually make something happen. Now, often the small business owner is the expert in their respective field. And that really benefits the business because the answers to customers' questions are really easy to obtain. We don't have to go ask anybody else because we know. Next up is uniqueness. Now, as a small business, your service or product offering is often unique, and you can explain why it's different and better than your competition. You also have the opportunity to personalize services, and that can retain customers for the long haul. And then lastly, as small business owners, you can focus on the specific needs of your business and customers. And that really sets you apart from large corporations. So most of us became small business owners because we knew that the benefits were going to be plentiful, right? Most of us know that the personal benefits of small business ownership, especially when times are tough and stressful, there are times when we can forget what all of those benefits are. So in order to understand why we took the leap into entrepreneurship, I think it's also important to remind yourself why you did it. So in my mind, the personal top benefit of business ownership is really personal satisfaction. When you own your own business and a customer appreciates your product or service, it just feels different than when you work for someone else. There's more pride there, and ultimately there's a whole bunch more satisfaction. And most of us started a business because, frankly, we don't like other people telling us what to do. And that points squarely at control for me. So a major benefit of being a business owner is control, right? Whether we win or lose, I'm in control. And sometimes even if things don't work out, It's better to feel a sense of control rather than blindsided by a corporate office. Next up is wealth creation. Okay, now the truth about small business is that most of us don't necessarily get rich off of our small or micro business. But what we do have is the ability and the vehicle to grow wealth over time as business owners. And that can create a tremendous amount of freedom. And then, of course, being the boss can't be discounted. I always tell my clients that the best thing about being the boss is getting to enjoy going to work every day. So if there's an employee or a customer that is changing your level of joy about going to work, you have the power to change it because you're the boss. And then last but not least, success. So having a profitable and a successful small business, it just feels good. And it's, in my opinion, it's better than getting straight A's or a positive review from your employer. It's a success that you built, most likely with some help from friends and colleagues and maybe even economic developers like me, but it comes full circle back up to satisfaction, control, and freedom. And so I want you to take some time to remember the reasons that you started your business and be sure that you're taking advantage of all the benefits and practicing the self-care routines and the habits that are going to keep you going. Because without you, there is no small business. So we got to take care of ourselves. All right, ladies. So I'm going to wrap it up today by opening it up for some questions. And so while I give you some time to type in your questions, I'm just going to go over some closing slides real quick. So you can see that the Women's Business Center is powered by the Small Business Administration primarily. That's where our major funding comes from, as well as a matching grant from the Wyoming Business Council. And so we're thankful for the support and the guidance of all of our partners. And of course, we look forward to the work ahead. This is contact information for both Jonathan and Veronica, both employees at the Wyoming Women's Business Center. If you're interested in one-on-one business counseling or the wrap-up of our COVID-19 program, you can contact them directly via email or phone. And then our upcoming webinars, this is one webinar of a three-part series that I'm doing on Tuesdays coming up this month. And so if you'd like to see our other training opportunities or our other webinars in the month of May, you can go to our website and click the training tab, and you'll see a couple of different series that are happening this month. All right, so when we close out today, a survey is going to launch. I appreciate it if everybody stays on the line and answers that for us. And I do have a quick question, or maybe it's a statement. It says, I'm a business owner, and because I needed to be reminded of why I chose that option today, thank you. Okay, well, excellent. Thank you for attending. We appreciate everybody out there that is being reminded that small business ownership was a great choice, and make sure you remember to get your sleep. All right, everybody, looks like I covered it today. And so appreciate everyone attending. Stay on for a few minutes to answer those survey questions. And I hope everybody has a great week. Bye-bye.